Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
the badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I am Heather, and each week we bring you mom-related true crime content from missing moms to murdered moms, moms who murder, survivors, and much, much more. Just like today, we're getting much, much more.
We are getting much, much more. And the greatness, we have already kind of like prepped you guys for the fact that we are taking 2 weeks off, but we can't just take 2 weeks off. It's against my, I just can't do it. I have done we have done where we have played some episodes for you guys, but these 2 weeks, we want to be a part of it. And so today and next week, we are doing a guest takeover where we have an amazing podcaster join us on the pod to tell a story to us. So Heather and I get to sit back, relax, and listen to a story today. And today we have Amanda Denise with Cold and Untold here. So we are going to let her introduce herself, say hi, and we are going to ask her some questions and get chatting a little bit before we get into the story. So please introduce yourself, and thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me on. Listen, I listen to your podcast, and I am a true Like Mother, Like Murder fan. So thank you both so much for having me on. Like Rachel said, my name is Amanda Denise, and my podcast and platform is called Cold and Untold. And it is a platform geared towards raising awareness of cold cases in North Carolina. So basically telling those stories of unsolved murders and missing persons cases and just giving families a voice. When I started this platform, I wanted families to have an outlet where they can come on to talk about their loved one's case. And it's also just a way to let them know that, hey, like your loved one is not forgotten. And so the goal is to hopefully spark conversations to generate leads for law enforcement to hopefully see these cases solved. And so this is my baby. I began working on this podcast earlier part of this year. The platform, however, was created back in 2023 when I was still working at the news station. So my background is in news reporting and news anchoring. And so while there, I just found that cold cases weren't getting the attention they needed. And so I started Cold and Untold.
I love that. I just a little bit got goosebumps. I love it when, it's something that you're passionate about, and you're, obviously you're very good at it. And it's one of those things where you can tell that your passion for these cases really shines through. And I'm very, very excited to have you on and cross paths officially.
I know. Before we started this, I was telling the ladies that we had never met in person. But we're besties on social media.
Yeah.
So
we do. We have our social media group, but then also it's crazy that we didn't meet in person when we were both at the exact same place at the exact same time in Nashville, Tennessee for CrimeCon 2024. Mm-hmm. So you'll be at 2025. Wait, not 2024.
This year. So the goal was to be there, but a lot is happening. So my fiance is going to be in a wedding, and then I'm speaking at 2 conferences coming up. And so the timing just doesn't work out, unfortunately, which okay. I bought the ticket and everything, but I had to get a voucher to use at a later date. So unfortunately, gotcha. I will not be meeting you guys in person this year.
But we'll see you next year, right?
Yes, next year. I hope it's somewhere close that I can drive, because last time we drove to Nashville, but Colorado's kind of far. So
yeah, I'm actually more happy with the one this time because now it's on my side of the country.
I know, right? Everyone's not going to be happy, right?
I know, it's true.
No, I'm happy wherever it is, because no matter where it is, I'm going. And you know who else I think is definitely happy wherever is Kylie, because Kylie from Primetime Crime just takes off. She takes off weeks.
Oh,
to prep.
wow.
to live the CrimeCon life. That girl is the most die-hard just CrimeCon goer there has ever been.
And I love that for her.
Amazing.
We learned so many lessons from her about like how to get the most out of your CrimeCon experience, and it's like we were CrimeCon rookies, we were bush league. That girl is full pro, like full pro.
Well, and it's one thing. It's like a testament to her because we were talking about, you know, people start to apply to try to get on Creators Row or start to, you know, be there and brand yourself more, or, you know,
promote,
make a name for yourself. And exactly, promote. I'm like, what are words, right? And she's like, I wouldn't want to because she is there for the seminar. She is there to learn. She is there to meet people. And I'm just like, I love that.
That's
I love
amazing.
that so much.
Yeah.
It is truly amazing. She's like, I ain't applying for Creator Row because I don't want to be out there.
She wants to go in there and experience Creator Row.
Exactly.
It was since last year was the first time. It was really overwhelming, but it was fun.
Yes.
And if it had not been for the app to like the sessions that you wanted to go to, I would have been like
totally lost. I know, same. And especially because the hotel, God, just trying to find your way around the hotel.
Did you all stay at the host hotel?
No,
we didn't.
Okay,
what a mistake.
We made Kylie told us you need to stay at the host hotel, and we're like, oh, we'll be right across the street. Like, we learned our lesson. We're staying there this year.
Yeah. Okay, so with all of that said, I know that you talked a little bit about your background and stuff that you do, but can you kind of like go a little bit deeper into how long you've been consumed in this world? And really, like, was there a certain thing that specifically was that kind of like turning point to draw you in and say, this is right where I belong?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've always just been intrigued by true crime in general. And so growing up watching true crime and being a news reporter, right? Like I'm engulfed in just a lot of things. And part of the things, a lot of the times we covered were crime cases. But just watching true crime documentaries and then seeing the unsolved cases, and then also just on social media, and then when I was reporting, just doing some research, and I'm like, well, cold cases, and some of the local agencies there, they had cold cases. And so I remember wanting to do like a little segment, you know, at my news station for cold cases, just kind of maybe like once a month, because at the end of the day, just because it's been years or decades, like these cases still need some attention and they need to be solved if they can. And so that was really just the deciding point for me. But also when I did my first story on my own with Cold and Untold, when I interviewed a family, a daughter of a missing mom out of Lexington, North Carolina, who disappeared when the daughter was only 2 years old when her mom disappeared. But when she turned 15 or 16 years old, that's when she was told that her mom was a missing persons case. And so when I sat down with her and just heard the pain in her voice, and she was telling me this story, because she's really the only one that's kind of fighting to figure out what happened to her mom years later, it broke my heart, because like I can't imagine like not knowing where my mom is. It's one thing for me, like I think if you know what happened to her, but if you just don't know and she's out there missing, like a lot of things are going through your mind. And she grew up without a mom, and then to find out that her mom was missing at 15 or 16 years old, and now you're dedicating your entire adulthood to figuring out what happened to her, is like heartbreaking. And so after telling that story and just, you know, reaching out to families to tell their stories, I became connected to these families. And I knew that was the purpose for me. Like, and I like to call it a pivot to purpose, because I prayed for my news reporting job. Like I thought that was going to be my career, but I left because one, mental health and the daily grind of turning these stories just wasn't for me. But I love reporting. Like I love being a journalist. I love telling stories. So why not do it in this aspect? And so that's why I just really started the platform. And then two, having built connections with family members and them telling you like, hey, thank you so much for telling my loved one's stories. Like, you're amazing. Thank you. That's enough
There's
for me.
nothing like that. Yeah. There's you actually got us connected. First of all, that's beautiful. And I love that you shared all of that with us, because that truly is, everyone has the reason that they're sitting behind the mic, right? And some people do it for, entertainment. Some people do it because it's a job. Some people do it because they were asked to do it. Some people do it because it is their purpose. And I think that that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. You actually got us into contact with Chrissy Haas, so for Wilma June Nissen.
Yeah.
And like, we have worked with her, and so you talking about, that case and a missing mom and her trying, that's, I know that it's like Chrissy was older and she didn't really know everything, but still, it's one of those things where it's like, you really don't know where your head is going to be in a situation like that, because some people are like, I would rather not know, because that gives me the hope and the faith that something could possibly happen and something could possibly turn out. That's a lifetime of pain and heartache and struggle and trying to find answers, right? Where, like, if you did know, some people, I would say some people would rather know what happened if that is the ultimate answer, because then it's like, you're done.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's so heartbreaking.
And missing persons cases are hard in general, but like when they're like a cold case, it really is hard, because you really don't know. And so like some of these people have been missing for years and decades, and it's like, are they still alive? Like, are they not? And so I think that's just the hardest part of just like not knowing. And I think like in her case, the mom out of Lexington, North Carolina, like I feel like if maybe she was found and then unfortunately, like, deceased, but then law enforcement can start like a different type of investigation, because these missing persons cold cases aren't really getting attention the way they deserve to be, because it's hard to investigate those types of cases. So
right, yeah, I think that it takes a very strong person to be able to continue that fight, knowing that, like, not having like the concreteness, like you were saying, like, you're a family member who has a loved one who has been missing for decades, and it's been cold for how long, and you're continuing to fight. And I think that that's a testament to you too, like you were saying, to give them a space to voice that and be heard, because that, especially if it's passed into that cold case realm, they're not, they probably, more often than not, are not feeling heard, are not feeling like they're seen. So to give families and loved ones a platform to say, no, like, we're still here, we're still fighting, and I can see why they would be grateful, and I like, that's a testament to not only them but also to you to provide that space, because it's not easy. I mean, we cover cases both unsolved and solved, and we're constantly having to edit out tears. I mean, a lot of time we ended up just leaving them in, because it's raw, it's our emotion, and we do our fair share of interviews with family members, especially, and obviously how heartbreaking it is when it's a mother who's been through some, the worst thing you can ever imagine as a mom. But like, it's hard. It's hard to do that. So, like, props to you, because it's not, it's one thing to be a podcaster and to tell these cases. It's another thing to, incorporate and do interviews and really reach out. And, it's not easy. We're constantly crying. So I don't know how you hold it together like you do.
Girl, barely. Like, especially if I'm interviewing a family member and then they start tearing up, and then I'm like, oh my gosh. So like, I hosted my first podcast like live event in January of this year, and it was about the two missing moms who share like the same first and middle name, Deborah Jean, and their daughters are basically searching for what happened to them. And one of the daughters read a letter like to her mom, and I just like was bawling on stage. I was like, oh my god. So it's just so much emotion. It's like, you just, once you're connected with these families, it's like you just feel kind of what they feel, and you want to help them as much as you can. And so that's just where I'm at in this journey.
That's amazing. You're
I
gonna
know, I love
we're
that.
gonna start crying already. We haven't even gotten in the case.
Well, one thing, and I want to add this with the talk about cold cases, is one of the people that we actually worked with first, her name was Heidi Jones AC. Her mother's case was cold for 46 years. 46 years, and she helped. Like, she tracked down workers in the area and made changes enough to see a resolution, to see the person who was responsible held accountable, and it's just absolutely amazing. And one of the things that she always said is, if you have hope, you have a chance. And it's like that's the truth, is like, if there is that, if you can hold on to that, you have that chance, and that's beautiful. Another thing that I actually wanted to talk to you about and ask you about is, I love that, so we are mom related here. We do all the mom related stuff, and you made your choice on this journey to focus on North Carolina. So is that something that you like knew immediately when you were doing it? You're like, you know what, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm gonna do it? Or was like, did you feel called to do that, or what was the point, or what was the reason behind that?
So the reason behind it was because I live in North Carolina and I like to interview people personally. And so I just felt like, even though Zoom, like we have Zoom, but I sometimes I want to go to the actual scene, and it was just easier for me to do cases in North Carolina. But honestly, there's so many cases here that need attention. So like, why not start where I'm planted? And so that was just, it was a thing. I just wanted to do North Carolina cold cases. However, not to say in the future we won't branch out, but there's so much to do here in my home state. And I feel like I just want to put the support here for right now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So the only other thing that I was wondering about, and this is one of the things that I like to, anytime I talk to anyone in true crime or just in general, literally I'll meet you on the street, this is a question I have for you, is like, what is one crime case or story of someone missing, unsolved, cold case, whatever it is, that you cannot stop thinking about?
Oh, that's a good one.
I put you on the spot.
You did, because I don't want to. I don't want to
It's
be
hard.
biased
I
and
know,
say
it's
like
hard.
the cases that I cover, but because there's so many out here. But I think about the Asia degree case a lot.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
the
my
little girl
goodness.
who,
Oh, yeah.
you know, left her home and just went walking and disappeared, because that one is very befuddling to me.
Yeah.
And so that is one that really like bothers me a lot, is her case. And I know there were some new developments in her case, you know, over the past several
recently,
months, but I don't know where it's heading, and it's really sad, that one is. So I would say her case.
Yeah. Her case, I see. I mean, you're right. There's a lot that's coming out recently, but it is any of the unsolved. I mean, it's so hard to answer that question.
It really is
so hard. It's like, actually, every single one I've ever heard about in my whole life. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Every single one. All right. So you are doing a takeover on Like Mother Like Murder today. So we are going to sit back and we are going to kind of pass you the mic, and we're here. We will kind of like chime in here and there, but for the most part, it is your segment now. And we hope that you do it exactly how, you know, you do it on your show. I know, you know, you're on your own over there, so it's not exactly the same dynamic. But we want people to see who you are, what you do, and hopefully anyone who is listening right now, please, please, please be sure to go over. And at the end of the show, you will shout out all your stuff. Everyone will be going over there and listening. But this is, you know, we're hoping that anyone who listens today really, really does get to see who you are and go check you out. So please take it away.
Well, thank you both so much. And of course, like if I get long-winded or whatever, just stop me, ask some questions, or give your input. So the case I'm doing today is the unsolved murder of Christy Lynn Russell. And so who was Christy, right? So Christy was born March 27, 1996 in Scotland County, North Carolina. So Laurinburg, North Carolina area. Christy was a loving daughter, sister, mother of two, and a grandmother. And she was known to many people as Star, and perhaps it was because of her sparkling personality. So I spoke with Christy's sister Holly, and she was outgoing. She was the life of the party. She loved makeup. She loved getting her nails done, and she loved taking photos. Christy was also musically talented, right? So she played the drums in high school. She even went to be a part of the Macy's Day Parade one year. She, in her high school class, took part in that. And she is remembered by her sister as someone who was deeply caring. And in fact, her sister Holly, this is a quote from her. She said, "She loved taking care of people. Christy had a very giving spirit." And so Christy disappeared on October 6, 2010, from Longburg, North Carolina. And she was last seen, according to law enforcement, at an apartment building known as the Bus Terminal Motel. Christy struggled, unfortunately, with substance use disorder, and she had a history of domestic violence issues with her then boyfriend at the time. His name is John McKinnon, and he went by Black River, according to law enforcement. So, Christy, although she was unhoused and she struggled with substance use disorder, she stayed in contact with her family. Yeah. So, she would call her sister, she would call her mom, just to let them know that she was okay. And she would even sometimes have people bring her by the house to maybe pick up food or whatever the case may be. So, she stayed in contact with them, and they knew that she was okay when she reached out. So, Christy's family reported her missing soon after they just stopped hearing from her. So she wasn't making those contacts. And so if you're making contact with your family almost every day and then all of a sudden it just stops, then you're going to become worried. And so that's what happened in this case. So they went to file a police report, but according to Christy's sister Holly, police didn't even take an official report at that time. They didn't take it until a week later. And so they eventually told the family to just wait it out and see.
I hate that. That seriously is we see it so often in these missing persons, and unfortunately a lot of times it's the unsolved, or it's the ones that like end up not good. And it's so frustrating because you see it more often than not when the missing person doesn't fit this cookie cutter, picture of someone that law enforcement really thinks they perceive is deserving of a missing persons investigation. And we see it so often where just because they're not living a lifestyle that someone thinks is quote unquote safe or whatever, that they're not given the attention that they deserve. It's so frustrating.
It is very frustrating. And also too, I believe that you know your family well enough, right?
Yes.
So if the patterns change, then I just believe that law enforcement can do a little better when it comes to listening to them. Like if I don't hear from my mom, and I'll talk to her every day, and then it just goes dark, and I go to law enforcement and I'm like, hey, like my mom, like something's up. And they tell me to wait. I'm like, no, this woman, I talk to her every single day. So like they just need to do a little bit better with that.
Yeah.
And also I want to take this time to say that families don't need to wait 24 hours to file a missing persons report or a report at all. Like that myth is so far out in the universe, and people think that you have to wait 24 or 48 hours, and you do not. You can file that report that day. So
I need all the true crime TV shows, because that's always one of the things, you have to wait 24 hours, and cops will say that. There's so many cases we see where they say no, they're an adult, so you have to wait 24 or 48 hours or whatever it is, and they will tell you that. And I want CSI or What are all the new ones? I don't even know. To come out and be like, every single time they're like, oh, the missing persons report was filed, they need to put like a disclaimer at the bottom that says, remember, you do not need to wait 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because like it's ridiculous how many people think that is the rule. Like how many people won't even reach out to an authority until it's been 24 hours because they think that's the rule. So yeah, we say it every single episode where it comes up. We can never say it enough.
I know. And a lot happens in 24 to 48 hours. So if your loved one is missing, like that's the time you need to be looking for them. It's within those 2 days or 1 day. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's the most crucial time right there. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry if I missed this. How old was she at this time?
Yeah, so she would have been 34.
She was 34.
And let me just double check that because I put the year that she was born, but I do want to make sure that I accurately say how old she was. Yeah, 34.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so on October 26th, so this was 20 days after she went missing, 2 people walking near North Caledonia Road in Laurinburg, North Carolina, noticed a suspicious mound of dirt near railroad tracks. And so the grave was shallow. It was just 5 to 10 feet off a used walking path. This was a walking path that people used as a shortcut to get from an apartment complex to a convenience store. So these 2 people, they go to a store and they use the telephone to call 911. They're like, hey, this is suspicious amount of dirt. So then law enforcement comes out to suspect this amount of dirt. And they're like, okay, it looks suspicious. So according to law enforcement, him and his partner got down on their hands and knees and they began to scrape inch by inch, dividing the grave into 3 sections and working from opposite ends. And so if you can just visualize that in your head, just like 2 people on the ground digging through this mound of dirt from opposite ends, because I mean, they know that Christy is missing at this time. And this is kind of the area, like around the area where she, frequented often. And so they're digging through this mound of dirt and they are making sure, they don't disturb any possible evidence and just making sure they don't miss anything. And the more they dig, they discover a piece of plywood underneath the dirt. And eventually, they unfortunately smell an odor. And it's an odor that law enforcement will tell you if you smelled it many times, you know what it is. It is a deceased body. And so they're digging, they smell the odor, and eventually they see what appears to be hair from a person. So Christy's nude body, and at this time, they don't even know it's Christy, right? Because at this point, she has mummified. So they don't know who it is. So her nude body was found mummified due to decomposition, and she had been strangled. That was the cause of her death. And you may be wondering, was she sexually assaulted because she was found nude? And then law enforcement told me that she was not. They positively identify this as Christy Russell on October 28th, 2010 through fingerprints. So, of course, the key person of interest in this case will be her boyfriend. I mean, they had issues of domestic violence. And so it was a long documented history too. So he actually went to prison for assaulting her, according to law enforcement. And she had been hospitalized at one point from being assaulted by him.
Was he the father of the children?
That I do not know.
Okay. But sorry, my brain is like turning.
No. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
But it's one that I'm going to find out because I'm curious now. So I'll definitely ask her sister. So witnesses say they last saw Christy with John. And John was interviewed multiple times, obviously, right? He was polygraphed and he denied any involvement in her disappearance and murder at this time. The test results of the polygraph test come back as unable to determine, which we know that they're not admissible in court anyways, but unable to determine, give me something to work with. So they had nothing. There was some grainy surveillance video footage that the law enforcement officers were able to recover. And in this video, they see two unidentified individuals who were possibly involved in her murder. And these individuals appear to be carrying what appears to be Christy's clothing at the time that like she was last seen wearing. And then it comes back in frame and then you don't see them with the clothes anymore. So like they see two people carrying clothes and then when it comes back like you don't see them with the clothes again.
So
Yeah,
they
it
were
seems very
disposing of
suspicious.
evidence, allegedly.
Yeah. And then so items that were found near where she was buried and like around the hole, they were sent off for analysis, but no results could link them to a possible suspect in this case. And despite multiple interviews and leads, no arrests unfortunately have been made in this case. Her murder is unfortunately like still unsolved. And it's one of those cases where law enforcement, he told me, he's like, we believe strongly, we know who did this, but we can't prove it. And that's like the hardest thing. It's like proving the case. And I understand from their perspective, like you want to have like a solid case before you take it to the DA to pursue any, charges and take it to court for a possible conviction. So that's just where we are with this case, and it's so sad. So during this time, Christy's mom and Holly's mom, Dolores, she fought relentlessly to figure out what happened or figure out who killed her daughter. So she was fighting for justice. She sat in the lobby of the police station for hours. She knocked on doors in high crime areas and neighborhoods just trying to get some answers. And so now Christy's sister Holly, who I spoke to, unfortunately, she has, I don't want to say she's given up hope, but she doesn't know if it's going to ever be solved.
Right.
And then when it comes to Christy's lifestyle, she was unhoused and she struggled with substance use disorder. I wanted to ask the chief, he's the assistant chief now of the Laurinburg Police Department, like, what do you say to people who say like, oh, well, this is the lifestyle that she lived? And he said, we don't care about the lifestyle. It was a life taken too soon. Yeah. And so now today, police are continuing to still investigate every lead that comes in. And this is an episode actually on the podcast. And when I posted like 2 short reels of the investigator talking about the case, it just blew up. And Scott, I've never been to Laurinburg, but I get a sense it's a small community. Like Scotland County is like small because when he posted it, like, her sister reached out to me and was like, hey, like all these people are contacting me about this case. And so I just want to say that's the goal. Like, I just want to start conversations with these cases because you just never know who may see it and like eventually come forth to tell them what actually happened in Christy's case.
That I just got goosebumps because that's what I mean. Thank God. I mean, social media, obviously, it can be the worst of the worst, but like it really can be the best of the best when it comes to these cold cases because one video like that being seen by the right people is totally can make or break a case, right? And it's amazing that, again, I know we talked about this earlier, but you having the platform and just getting that quick, like, here it is, and all of a sudden people are reaching out, and you just need, and we always say, you see something, you say something, there's someone out there who knows something, and that person needs to come forward, and by seeing it on your social media, and by, that could be it.
Yeah, you just never know. And then also too, in speaking with Holly, and I asked her, I'm like, do you believe that John had something to do with your sister's murder? And she basically said that if not him, then he knows who did it, or he, helped somebody else do it. So, yeah, it's always sad when law enforcement, they have that gut feeling that like, this is the person who did it. And I want to just go on record to say, like, this person has never been charged or convicted of this crime. Like, this is just what law enforcement told me. So, like, it's just having that gut feeling, but you just can't prove the case. I can imagine it really just sucks for them. So,
Absolutely, because they're being pulled in so many directions as well, because it's like no matter what, nothing is good enough until the person who is seeking the answers has what they want. And so even if you are finding certain things out or you're piecing something together, until you have what the family is looking for, or maybe what that detective or what that investigator, whoever it is, until they're getting exactly what they need, it's not good enough. And I really liked what you said, that the assistant chief police said, his answer to. Did you say you asked him the question, or he
Yeah.
just said it on the? Yeah, like I just love his response, because it's so important to hear that as well, to know that, because there is a lot of negativity and there is a lot of, bad policing in certain cases, or mishandlings of certain cases, that you just scream, you're like, I just need you to do something different, or just care more, please, and so it's nice to see that.
It gives you a little bit more faith in the system, because we mentioned, unfortunately, we see it too many times where cases like this don't get the attention from the proper authorities, and they don't have the attitude like very fortunately this assistant chief had, and so to go on record, to have someone in authority say that, and have that out there, it means a lot to people who are in a similar situation with a missing loved one, who maybe wasn't, like I said earlier, like that cookie cutter whatever that maybe someone wants to devote their time and attention to. So to know that there are people in positions of authority who feel that way, it goes a long way for people who don't feel seen and who don't feel heard.
Yeah. And part of the reason why I also started the podcast too was to kind of bridge that gap between cold case families and law enforcement, because having worked alongside, like now I am I guess like a civilian investigator, a cold case consultant for Kinston Police Department, and looking at their cold cases and trying to see them solved. Like I understand both sides now.
Right.
I think as like a news reporter, I was like always just like, what are you doing? Like you're not doing anything, like, but like having being in that environment and seeing what they do firsthand, I do understand that it's hard to solve these cases. I mean, they're cold for a reason. Like we're working on like several cases now, and one is frustrating the crap out of me. Like there's no physical evidence, and it's just like you have the victim on one of the officers' body cam saying the name of the person who did it to her, like she's mumbling it out, but there's like no physical evidence. And so it's like so hard with these cases. But also families need support from law enforcement. Like they want to know that even if you don't have anything new to report, like be responsive. If they reach out to you and ask you, like, what are you doing on this case? Be honest and say, hey, like there's not any movement, like we're still trying or something, but just don't ignore them. And so I'm trying to get both sides to kind of see, the challenges that each side, they face.
That is that's amazing. Like being almost like that liaison, like you said, like that bridge. That is something that, first of all the power to you, because I can't imagine the patience that it takes from both sides to really, like you said, really see things from those perspectives and like try to help people understand where the blocker might be in one way or another. So that just in and of itself is amazing work. And I know like they have, victim advocacy or, family advocacy. And I think that, but like you said, it's hard because it does seem a lot of times like there's almost this adversarial nature between the two, because they both want the same thing, right? That's what's so crazy, is both sides want the same thing, but it's just like the rules you have to follow and the way that you have to go about it isn't always what the family wants to hear, right? So it's more power to you. That's amazing. That's amazing work. I'm gonna like send all my vibes towards you, because that's I can't imagine it's easy, but that's amazing.
Thank you so much.
I I'm really happy that you touched on that and you talked about it a little bit, because that is one of the things that I was going to ask you to see, and I didn't know like how much you could get into what you do, or you know what I mean, because I know you can't just be like, here, let me tell you about every single case I'm looking at.
Spill tea.
But I think it's beautiful. And so I know, if you don't mind me asking a couple things, but I know that this is kind of more recent that you started this. How did you get pulled into that, and where do I sign up?
Girl, so again, just going back to news reporting, like, listen, even though I didn't like reporting, or I did at first, but it just took a turn. I built some great relationships, and I built them with community members and law enforcement. And the Kinston Police Department is one agency that, like, I love them. And so when I left local news, they, were trying to bring people in to look at cold cases, because, I mean, let's face it, like, they got a lot going on, and current crime is the focus. They're trying to solve these current crimes, and no one's really looking at these cold cases. And so they started this initiative. And I'm like, hey, it just makes sense for me to come on board. Like, as someone who can give a fresh perspective, but like also I have the background in criminal justice and criminology. I have the background, paralegal background. I have journalism background. Like, let me come in and see what I can maybe help you all do. And so they opened the door to me, and I was the first volunteer. And then they opened the door to another volunteer. She has an extensive background as well. And so it's just us two ladies. We go down to Kinston probably like once or twice a week, and we look at these cold cases. And it's really been insightful, because we take the case files. I mean, we're looking at the crime scene photos, the autopsy photos, we're reading statements, like, we're going with them to interview these people. And it's really just eye-opening to just see. It's like a puzzle, right? You're trying to piece together this puzzle with details that happened 10, 20 years ago, and you're basically starting from scratch. And unfortunately, and this is what makes me upset about this, is that these cold cases, people pass. You have nobody really to talk to. Like, the suspects may be gone. The witnesses who were around then may be gone. And so now what do? Like, you're trying to piece together a puzzle with, like, limited information. And so I can see firsthand how they're just struggling. And so also, it's one case too that we're looking at. And the chief of police, he was like, this case is from, I think, 1994, maybe 1996, 19 something. But the initial investigator wrote in cursive, and he was like, I don't know how to read cursive, and I don't think I know how to read it either. So you're working with a very small file, and then people who wrote in cursive, and it's like, how am I supposed to solve this like that? You know what I mean? Like, I looked at it, I'm like, I don't think I know how to read cursive either. Like, so now we're trying to piece together that with the limited information that was provided to us.
That's crazy. Okay, so two things. One, I am so glad that when I was younger, I was still taught cursive in school. Like, I remember specifically being taught cursive in school. And I remember I was on Christmas break one time, and I was at my grandparents' house, and I was practicing my cursive, Christmas break, like, whatever. And I remember my grandfather saying, like, I'm glad they still teach that because it's important. And I was just like, whatever. And now I'm like, no, I'm really glad that they're like, because exactly for that reason. And then two, it literally sounds like fate, like you have your background sounds like that is just like boom, and then your passion for the subject matter is like boom, and then this opportunity to really like make a difference. That's beautiful. That really has come together so beautifully. And I think I always one of my favorite kind of like quotes is luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And it sounds like you have this, like, your background, you're prepared, and then like you said, this opportunity presented itself, and it's like, I think that's going to lead to great things. It's amazing.
Thank you, girl. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm all about, preparation and opportunity. If it's meeting, girl, I'm walk through that door.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Did you call me?
Oh, you didn't? Well, I'm here anyway.
I'm here anyway.
Right on time.
Here I am.
Hello.
I feel like I had so many thoughts, but I'm like, how do I follow that? Because that was just pure, beautiful and amazing, and everything that just came out of your mouth, Heather, was fire. So I'm like, what do I follow that? I think I love that, and I think, you know, you said you prayed for it, and it's there, and that's such an amazing thing that's happening. And one of the things that I think is so beautiful with it is the fact that you said, you know, you really like this department that you're working with and stuff. And I think that it's so important for people to see it and hear you say that, right? Like, even that clip, like, I need to pull a clip from the conversation and post that, because people need to see how hard it is, how much work it is, how just, it's not as easy as it seems, right? Because we talk about it all the time, and we're like, what are you doing wrong? What are you missing? Why aren't you finding this? And it's like, look, we've had 475 people look at this, and we cannot do it, you know? And it's like, of course, we're still going to say, I don't care, do it anyways, because you don't want to give up. You don't want to lose that hope. But I think that it's important to have that other perspective for the law enforcement, and make that very, very seen and vocalized, because it shouldn't be a bash fest. I mean, there's great people everywhere, you know what I mean? And there's so many people who want to solve and who care and want to see outcomes in these cases, you know? And so I love that you're a part of that.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say too, like, we know cold cases are hard to solve. Yeah. Like, they're cold for a reason, obviously, but they don't work unless you work them. Right. And so I want to take this time too to encourage, like, other departments, if you don't have the manpower or the resources to bring in detectives to look at these cases, maybe open your door to civilians to come in and look at these case files. Because, I mean, granted, you have to sound like an NDA essentially, but, like, go in and maybe see what you can help do. Yeah. Just open the door to let people in. And then, because maybe there's something that you missed along the way. And then, because honestly, and I love working, again, this department, because they are very, like, responsive to us. Like, if we suggest something, they're like, okay, let's roll with it. So they're open. And, like, I encourage agencies to open their doors to other people and to be open-minded and to, like, just go with the flow. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, it's already cold. It's been cold for what, 15, 20 years? Like, so what's the worst that can happen, really?
Yeah. For sure. I think you hit on a few points there that, like, it really restores your faith in the system, which, like Rachel said, it's really easy to bash the system, because we have seen it fail people, right? But we've also seen it succeed. Like, I mean, like if you haven't gone back, and I mean, it was definitely, we were still wine time when we covered Heidi Jones, AC's and her mom's case. And in that case, it was a law enforcement officer who was like, we're going to do the damn thing, and we are not giving up, even though this case is literally almost half a century old. We're not giving up. And so I think it really restores your faith in the system when like Rachel said, you hear someone saying, like, yeah, like, I love this department, they've opened their doors. And I think the other thing, like you said, like, I mean, even if it's as simple as, like, someone can come in and read your cursive, like, right? Like, imagine.
Like, do you need me to call Heather from, like, I mean,
like, seriously, like, even if it's something as simple as, like, you know, like you said, like, these cases are decades old. Everything was taken handwritten. What if it's literally a matter of someone just, like, transcribing that, putting it on a computer, getting it into a system so that maybe it pings at a town, you know, 2 towns over, and then now all of a sudden you have a connection. And that's the thing, is, like, we know, like, you know, the short staff and the resources are limited, especially because, like you said, the emphasis is on new cases, like those first 24, 48 hours, those are where, you know, that's where, so that's what, exactly like you said, there's these cold cases that are just sitting there, and you may not have the resources, but there are people out there who are willing to come in, read some cursive, transcribe some notes, like, it is what it is. Like, so that's an amazing thing. And like you said, I think more departments, like, it is encouraging, like, you want to encourage more departments to really to look at that as an opportunity to really, like, get some, and it's like, it does more than that. I mean, it really gets your community involved, and Lord knows, like, there needs to be better bonds between a community and their law enforcement.
Yes.
Always. That's always going to make for better for everybody. So I'm so glad that you found that, and I really do hope that that's something that we start to see more. It's needed for sure.
I think so too. And then, I mean, I'm doing this on my time. Like, I'm not getting paid for it, which I'm gonna have to talk to them about that mileage or something, because I'm coming from Wilmington. I'm like, we get mileage. But no, like, we're doing this on our own time essentially, so we're not getting paid for it. So, like, if you have people like us willing to help, then why turn down the help?
Right.
Like, so.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just a side thought. I'm not the biggest, like, AI fan, but there has to be a ChatGPT or something where you screenshot that cursive thing and they transcribe it immediately. Just saying, there has to be something like that already.
I think I might do that. But then also too, I have to ask them because they might be concerned with, like,
getting out to someone. Okay, never mind. Send it to Heather. All right.
I'll sign your NDA. It's cool. It's good.
I'm like, literally, because we all have so many different skills. Like, I don't have the law enforcement background, but I have other skills. And then if you put all those skills together, then we can make a big difference in the way some of these cases are handled. And I just want to say that, so my call to action, though, for this case is that if anyone is listening to this case and they know any information about Christy Lynn Russell, then to contact Scotland Crime Stoppers tip line at 910-266-8146, because no tip is too small to help solve a cold case.
Yeah, we'll definitely, and that'll be in the show notes, and we'll be sure to make posts related to it. I think that's one of the favorite things that Rachel, like, one of my favorite things that Rachel has ever done with this podcast is she started her mini missing moments where she just takes a few minutes and she talks about a case where someone is missing, and just like you said, it needs to just reach the right person and it can gain traction. So we'll definitely be sure to share that information as well. And, like, that's the call to action every single time, you guys. Like, we know someone knows something, right? There's, like, this, like you said, this walking path was not, like, this was, people used it. This wasn't just, like, literally out, like, in the middle. Like, this was, and we have people on camera, right? So, someone knows something, and we just have to get the right people to come forward.
Yeah. And two, one case that I'm currently working on out of Greensboro, North Carolina, and I want to ask the investigator this question, but, like, maybe releasing that footage that they do have to the public and seeing if anyone knows about it, because they did that in another case that another story that I covered, where a man was shot in the parking lot of his restaurant, and they released the video footage of the actual perceived suspect, coming out, and so I'm like, maybe release the footage. Like, maybe that would be the next step. Because somebody may recognize.
Oh, yeah. Same body build. Like, it makes me think
I was going to say, right. Not even the face, but, like, how people walk, how they hold their arms or something. So, yeah.
We've seen the bridge guy, right? Like, it's not something that is uncommon where you see a video and whether is there audio, right? Like, was something said and you can hear that voice? Was it how you said? Like, is it the way they're walking? Is it the way they stand, the pose? You know what I mean? There's so many people that I'm like, that person is the only one. I can walk around. You know how I do podcasts, like, intros? I could just do podcasts, like, stances and just stand. Like, everyone has, like, how, and so I think that those videos are crucial. Like, anything that you can do. And I understand wanting to hold tight onto certain things that are going to be used for a certain reason. Like, I get it. But if you can use something for the reason to find an answer, why are you not doing that?
Especially on a cold case where it's like, I mean,
what else do you have to do?
What else you got? So,
I'm sorry.
Like, let's do it.
There's been 30 years. We're going to need to try something new, guys.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect anything different today, like right now for this recording, but I can't believe Cold and Untold came here and told me something cold. I need it. No, I'm just kidding. Like, what? What do you mean? I'm just kidding. I totally.
I think it's because Rachel is so. Honestly, it's because I usually am. I'm kind of chicken, and so doing unsolved ones, I'm not very good at. Rachel is usually the unsolved queen, and I like to tell the ones that I have an ending to. Although I have mixed it up lately, Rachel. I have been like bringing the unsolved, and it's thrown her for a loop every time because when I go, yeah, and we still don't know anything, she goes, wait, did you just say like you're not going to be able to finish this case for me? And I'm like, sorry, I'm branching out. So I think that's why, because she's used to me being like, no, here's the answer.
Here's the end goal.
Yeah, she wraps it up with a bow, that's for sure. So she does take me for a loop when she's like, it's not. And I'm like, that's not you. You're kidding. Give me more.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing too. A lot of people now who listen to true crime podcasts, they want to hear a resolution.
Right.
But that's just not what this podcast is about. If you want a resolution, this is not it.
I mean, it's in the name.
It's
It's literally.
If you don't know what's happening when you sign on to Cold and Untold, you need other help.
You're about what? You're like almost 10 episodes in, right? Like, how many episodes do you have out right now?
Girl, yeah. So here's the thing. So we are about to
sit back for this.
We are wrapping up season 1. I will be releasing a recap really soon because when I first got started, I really didn't know what I was doing in the podcasting world. Like, I just know I needed to get started and I wanted to get started. And so these episodes didn't have no regular release date. I was just releasing them as like they were ready. And so going into season 2, and now that I have like more experience and better footing, it will be, scheduled on a regular basis, and because I know what I'm doing now. And so I just needed to get started. Like, it was a learning process for me and for the listeners, and I'm so grateful that people tuned in, and I'm so grateful for the families who allow me to tell these stories and the people who I talk to tell these stories. But yeah, season 2 gonna be better, girl.
Yeah.
No, and I don't want you to discredit.
Oh, go ahead, Rachel.
I was just going to say, I don't want you to discredit or like even say a thing like that, because you're kind of like not giving yourself the props and the love you deserve in this moment, because there is a difference between, say, a weekly podcast or someone who is coming here all the time and telling a story, and someone who is thoroughly investigating, looking into a case, talking to family members, and then bringing that case, right? Yeah. And so there is a huge difference. It takes a lot more time, a lot more effort, and a lot more mental health care and self-care for yourself as well. So don't ever don't look differently on that.
I mean, for real, look at Up and Vanished, one of the most successful. They drop whenever they damn well please, and it drives the listeners crazy, but it is what it is. Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say, was that, what was I gonna say? It was apparently it wasn't that
I was coughing, and then you made me laugh, and I just died for a second.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, because like when you were like, if you're coming here for a resolution, like, this is not it, and Rachel's like, yeah, it's right there in the name. Do not be surprised if you get, because like we all know that there's some people out there that like to like talk their stuff. Someone's gonna say like, why do you never tell a case that has an answer? You will get a comment like that, and I'm telling you right now, all you need to say is like, look at the title of my freaking show.
Cold and Untold. And like, listen, like, I get it. Like, I like both. Like, I like unsolved and I like solved cases, but my niche is unsolved because I feel like the families, they need the attention more. Exactly. Because they still don't have justice. They still don't have answers. They still don't have resolution. Yeah. And so, it's.
I love it. I think it's the true crime podcast world is, we all know it's saturated, but to be able to, have it done, especially to raise awareness for these cold cases, like that is something that you can, pull out and see is an important contribution to the community. So,
and also thank you, girl. And they're not like long episodes either. If you tune in, they're very short. They're digestible. They're straight to the point. It's you get a glimpse into the victim's life, and then you also get the facts. And basically, I'm telling the stories the way I would if I was doing a news package for TV. Except for we had a minute and a half at most. And so these are a little longer than that. But like, just short, digestible episodes that just gives you enough information to just think. And then also, like you said, Rachel, like I am interviewing these people, interviewing these families, going through the interviews, writing the scripts. And so it does take time. And so I just want people just to know that, like, it's not a long form podcast by any means.
Right.
Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. But really, it's just about raising awareness of these cases. And so that's just what I'm trying to do.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And we are excited, that you're going to be coming hard season 2. We are ready for it. We are ready for that.
I was actually looking at it on, it's so funny because I was looking at it on Apple and it was like March and then like June. And I was like, girl, we got to do better.
Yeah, but you're not sitting back. Like, you are in the trenches. You are doing the damn thing, and it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Well, with all of that said, so everything you talked about will be in the show notes, the call to action, all the information. We will share anything that you share with us, and then if I can find anything else, I will share that as well. But before we sign off, I would love if you could please just tell everyone where they can find you, your Instagram, your Facebook page. I know you have a discussion page as well. So it's like anything that you want to share with the people, how they can go and just kind of support you and be a part of your world.
Of course. So it's basically just Cold and Untold across all platforms except for X because I'm not on X. So Instagram, Facebook, and I do have a Cold and Untold discussion group on Facebook. So join us over there. We post, cold cases. Family members can post cases in there to talk about just anything really, like resources to share, just support, whatever you have. And just kind of, again, just sparking those conversations here in the community. And then we are in the process of getting our nonprofit set up. So we went through the first stages. We have another stage to go through. And I hope to be able to provide more support for families. So help them get, billboards, DNA testing, PIs, missing persons flyers, just to kind of give them more support as well. And so that's just what we're doing.
That's amazing.
I love every single thing that has came out of your mouth the entire episode, I swear. I'm a huge fan, even more so today than I was before.
Oh, thank you.
Really, really love what you're doing here. It is amazing. Thank you once again for being here. We have said it a million times, and I'll continue to say it, how truly we're so thankful you're here, but then also, like, everything you talked about, what you do, what you are doing, we love it, and we will be shouting it out, supporting it in any way that we can. So thank you times a million.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. For everyone else that has been listening to this is your homework. You need to go immediately to the podcast, hit follow and subscribe. You need to go find her on Instagram, on social media, Facebook, everywhere but X, you guys, because she made that very clear. But go and follow and show the love and show the support from your mother murder mamas over here. And just stay tuned for next week. Next week we have another amazing podcast joining us on the mic. We are very excited for that. And we will be there because, like I said, you just can't get enough of us. We have to be here every single time, or else I think it's me that can't get enough of everyone else. I think that's truly what it's come down to, is I'm like, I want to be there with them. But I'm looking forward to it too. So with that said, we will talk to you guys next Tuesday for another episode. And until then, have the best week. Stay amazing. Take care of yourself. Support your local law enforcement, bridge that gap, go to conferences, make buttons. Apparently, we got to make some buttons. Thank you, Heather. And we will talk to you guys next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
That's the best.
I always get so excited when I hear other people say it.
I just fangirled for a moment, so I blacked out.
No, I will say that I've been listening to y'all in my car. So yes, like I have a rotation. I need to do better though. I need to actually go through the group and just kind of follow more people. But like you're my go-to. Actually, if you go in the search, like it pops up. I'm like mother, like mother.
That's so cute.
And so yeah, so you ladies keep doing the dang thing too. And before we go, can I get y'all on a video saying like mother like murder?
Oh my
Of course.
God, yes. Stop now.
I do want to get y'all saying that because it's so cute. Okay, let me go back.
Saying like mother like murder? Oh my
Yes,
God.
just say it. Like, can you do the whole thing? Like, I'm Rachel and I'm Heather.
You are so cute. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God.
We will do that, but then we still got to sign off and do the "K love you bye." So you're not going
get
anywhere
to do
yet.
our sign off.
Okay, yes, I do want to do that. I do want to do that sound. Okay, well, let me know when you're ready. Okay.
Okay.
All
You go,
right.
Rachel.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Like Mother Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I am Heather, and each week we bring you mom-related true crime content from missing moms to murdered moms, moms who murder, survivors, and more.
And we're here with Amanda Denise from Cold and Untold, baby.
And this is like mother
Like
Like
murder.
murder.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
I love it so much.
Oh, my God.